Hello everyone, good day. Welcome to another video discussion in art appreciation. This time our topic is mediums of painting. In this video lecture, I shall briefly discuss the different mediums of painting used by various artists across the globe. So before we proceed to the presentation of the different mediums of painting, let us have a brief description first of what painting is. Painting is the art of applying pigments to a surface to represent a picture of the subject. Now, when we talk about painting, this has been one of the widely used visual arts to represent reality. Now, we know that paintings have become famous because they actually arrest the reality and they show a lot of messages or they convey a lot of messages towards the audience. Now, the different mediums used in painting are oil, fresco, watercolor, tempera, pastel, acrylic, and encaustic. Now, these mediums are widely used by artists across the globe, but it is highly dependent on the method or the strategy of the artist. So the first medium of painting is oil painting. So I believe this is widely used, most especially for artists who are into the usage of ground pigments. So this is done with the use of ground pigments from minerals, coal tar, vegetable matter, and others. Now, oil painting is also pretty interesting because it gives you the bright colors when used on canvas. So one good example for this is this oil painting made by Ang Kyukok entitled Fisherman. Now, if you look carefully at the texture, okay, the texture of this painting, you would definitely say that there is really this pigment or there are really these pigments used in creating this oil painting. Now, the second one is the fresco painting. This is a method of painting water-based pigments on freshly applied plaster, usually on wall surfaces. Now, if we go back to, for example, discussions on painting, most especially in some European places, we know that fresco painting is very famous. So this one involves the use of water-based pigments and their application on the plaster, which is usually done on wall surfaces or architectural structures. Now, the most famous fresco painting that we have to date is that of Leonardo da Vinci entitled The Last Supper. The third one is the watercolor painting. Watercolor is done with the use of pigments mixed with water and applied to fine white paper. So one good example for this is the watercolor painting of Vicente Manansala titled Balut Vendors. Now, in the Philippines, Vicente Manansala is known as a transparent cubist because of the geometrical shapes that he's using in his artworks. So watercolor is also inexpensive, and this is somehow considered to be widely used as well in the world of painting. Now, what's very interesting to this one is the the convenience when it comes to the application of different colors into the painting so that they would have an effect after the painting itself. We also have the tempera painting. So a tempera painting is done with the use of ground pigments mixed with albuminous or colloidal vehicle. So here, in order to do the painting, there has to be an albuminous or colloidal vehicle mixed with the ground pigments. So if you notice, the oil in can or the oil painting a while ago involves the usage of these ground pigments only. But the moment that ground pigments are used together with albuminous or colloidal vehicle, for example, mixed with egg yolk, with gum, with glue or casein, then it becomes tempera painting. Okay? So one good example for this is the Master of the Codex of Saint George, the Crucifixion. So this is an example of tempera painting. So again, it uses ground pigments mixed with albuminous or colloidal vehicle. Then you also have the pastel painting. So the common one, pastel painting is done with the use of pastel colors, closely resembling dried pigments bound to form crayons, which are directly applied to the surface. So what's unique about pastel painting is the thick texture of the colors, and you could really see that there is this rough texture because of the dryness of the pastel used in painting. So one example for this is the self-portrait by William Merritt Chase in 1884. And then you also have the acrylic painting. Acrylic painting is done with the use of synthetic paints called acrylics mixed with a vehicle capable of being thinned with water. So this one, there is the use of acrylics, the synthetic paints, and then mixed together with a vehicle or another medium or another material so that there will have this thin effect. So it seems like acrylic painting is somehow the opposite of pastel painting, because for pastel painting there is this dryness and thick texture, while in acrylic painting thinness is its primary feature. So one good example for this is the Waterfront by Hannah McNaughton. This is an acrylic on canvas. And then we also have the encaustic painting. So encaustic painting is done with the use of hot wax as a vehicle to bind pigments to a wooden panel or a wall. So here, it's not purely pigments that are used in the painting itself. It has to be mixed with a vehicle, specifically a hot wax, when applied to a wooden panel or a wall. So if you take a close look at the texture of this encaustic painting, it has this effect. Okay, it also has the thick texture or the rough texture. So this is the Fayum Funerary Portraits, Man with a Beard in the 2nd century. So let's ask ourselves this question. What do you think is the best medium of painting? Now, from the artistic perspective, it's believed that there is no such thing as best medium of painting because every artist has their own brand. They have their own identity as an artist. And we cannot say that those who are oil painters are dominating in the artistic arena, or those who are more on watercolor painting or acrylic painting are inferior compared to those that are masters of fresco painting. We cannot tell that. So it's not also appropriate to say that there is such thing as the best medium of painting because it depends on the intended conveyance or projection of reality by the artist. So it depends on what he or she thinks to be the best medium to portray the reality or to arrest the reality in a painting. And it also heavily relies or depends on the method or the strategies and as well as the expertise of the painter. So we cannot really say that there's such thing as the best medium of painting because at the end of the day, paintings are still arts. Regardless of the medium used, they still have the artistic and aesthetic value. So to learn more about these mediums of painting, I highly suggest these video discussions or these video references. So these are learning videos to supplement this brief discussion that I have presented. Now, if you have any question regarding this brief discussion, please feel free to post on the open forum. Thank you very much for watching this video discussion.